Story RH, the podcast that makes a long story short.
Welcome to all.
History is made of stories.
In this episode, we'll be exploring Robert Merton's typology of deviance to better understand employee engagement.
Engagement comes in many different shapes and sizes. But one thing is certain, without the engagement of all, a company is unlikely to see its projects succeed.
And, between those who help a company to move forward and those who hold it back, there's quite a lot of nuance to grasp. And that's where Robert Merton comes in. So, the typology of deviance and employee engagement, what's the story?
One person's engagement is unlike any other person's. In fact, engagement is a charged word, so let's take the time to define it clearly. So, engagement is a combination of motivation, the engine that makes you want to make an effort, and implication, the emotional aspect attached to what you do over time.
The main prerequisites for engagement are support for the ends you're pursuing, an ability to contribute to it, and the recognition you gain from doing so. In other words, it's about the institutional goal, the means, and recognition.
And the work of Robert Merton is particularly helpful when it comes to understanding these first two prerequisites. Robert Merton, the first sociologist to ever receive the U.S. National Medal of Science in 1994, worked on many topics, but is best known for his typology of deviance in society.
In the 1950s, he established a typology of the way individuals adapt to social norms that is underpinned by work on delinquency. To summarize, he identifies types according to two major factors.
Depending on whether or not you adhere to cultural goals and the institutionalized means to reach them. Depending on whether individuals accept or reject these goals and means, he identifies different behavior types.
When you accept both the goal and the means, you help motivate others and serve as an example of these social norms. An ambassador of sorts, Merton labels them conformists.
When you reject both the goal and the means, there are actually two categories. There's retreatism, where you reject both but not outwardly. You do your job, but not well, and avoid outright conflict.
The second category that rejects both the goals and the means is home to the rebels who also fervently and openly oppose them. At a company, the rebels either enter into conflict or leave.
Next, there are the two other types, where you accept one and not the other. And studying them sheds much light on engagement, because addressing them requires different solutions.
First, there's the category Merton calls innovation. These are people who accept the goal but reject the means. They are the ones who sometimes disobey but become a source of innovation when processes clash with reality and prevent us from accomplishing the mission.
This category is often extremely invested and tries to come up with ideas to move things forward. They also ask deep questions about the system and its ability to achieve its goals.
It's important to make sure these people don't end up suffering from burnout because of all their work making up for the system's failings. When it comes down to it, overly rigid companies only survive thanks to them.
Last but not least, there's the category Merton calls ritualism. These people reject the goal but accept the institutionalized means. They don't agree with the mission, but scrupulously obey orders, following methods and processes to the letter. They don't question the purpose of what they're doing.
They take solace in the process or rules. They may have tried to change things once upon a time, but they've given up and are now resigned.
Sometimes they don't even know what end the means aim to achieve, or rather, they don't want to know. And in this case, the third prerequisite for engagement we mentioned earlier, recognition, has to be rewarding enough to buy their silence.
Engagement is an incredibly complex topic, but Merton's typology of deviance makes it easier to understand because it teaches us, at the very least, that we can't manage these 5 different categories in the same way.
To recap, Merton's typology of deviance outlines types of individual behaviors based on whether or not a person accepts or rejects an institution's goals and the means rolled out to achieve them. As such, it can help companies to understand that not all disagreements come from the same place. Is that right?
Exactly right. Way to make a long story short.
Story RH, the podcast that makes a long story short.